So this card, we're looking at a card for the guys, all the girls obviously, but so we're dealing with one of the images here, which is the man about town. As you can see, he's got loads and loads of sentiments with him, and he's much bigger than he appears on the packaging. But having said that, we're not going to use him. We're going to use this one instead, the Trendsetter, just to show you that you can mix up your images however you want. And of course, whatever I'm going to do now, you can change the colour scheme, and you can use, or you can use this colour scheme anyway, and use some of the girl images. So we're going to actually start with the background on this one and show you what I've done. Now, I have done this before, but it's been a little while, so I thought I'd do it again, and I actually find this a really relaxing technique to do. So going with the Steel and Honey paper pack that's on the show, I'll just pull in the carrier sheet. You can see here, this kit's got 40 A4 sheets, 10 designs, and there's 2 sheets of each, and it's 190 GSM. And this is your Steel and Honey, so they're great contrast colours. So taking just 3 of the papers from those, what I've done is I've cut them into 1-inch strips, going down the shorter length. And then if you actually cut all 3 together, you'll find that they'll alternate along the 3 different designs. So then just taking them alternately, if that's the right word, just add the colours to just a piece of copy paper. Don't put it on card, it'll be too thick on card, just a piece of copy paper. And for this background, actually 8 or 9 strips are enough. This is all I've got left actually out of my 3 A4 sheets, but I'll explain how much I did get out of them in a moment. So stick those down, and then once they're stuck, and make sure the glue's dry, because otherwise your trimmer won't actually like the fact that it's wet. Turn it that way, and then cut them into 1-inch strips. I should have said, if you don't do inches, you can do 2 centimeters. So cut them into 1-inch strips going that way, and then they will look like this. So they're all in squares. Now we're going to create the patchwork, and this is actually called the Bargello technique, I believe, in patchwork. So all you do is, as you see, I've already started. Make sure they're all pointing the same way. So I've got this darkest piece here, and all we're going to do is glue them and then offset them. Just using some, you can use a double-sided adhesive sheet, but if you use a double-sided adhesive sheet, you can't do what I'm going to show you next. And also, it's a bit of a waste of a double-sided adhesive sheet, to be honest. So I'm just going to trim the bottom one off here, and because I've used paper, I can actually trim it so that there's none of the white showing here. In fact, if I'd done it properly, you wouldn't see any. There we go. So none of the white showing there, so it's going to be nice and neat. So we're going to keep that piece, and then we're going to drop this down like so. Glue that into place. And my squares aren't perfect. It's all to do with how I look at my trimmer rather than the quality of my trimmer. So don't worry about it. It really doesn't matter. It's the standard background thing, you know. It's a background. Don't stress. You're not going to see that much of it. And I'm putting that other one up there. That way, rather than just putting them on and having them all come stepped all down here and wasting that bit and wasting that bit, if you do this, then you're going to keep all of them. So on this one here, I'm going to cut off the bottom 2, and those will go at the top and these are going at the bottom. And you'll find that because we've cut this down again, that this will actually go across the whole of the width here, so you've got a really good size piece. Glue this one in, and it's almost seamless. You can't tell necessarily that I've joined those on. And then this one is obviously going to go back up to the top. Is it? Yes. So we're stepping down. You can see we're stepping down. That is still part of that paper. And I think we'll just have one more after this, and then this will be complete. It's not the quickest background to do. Like I say, it is very, very relaxing. Can you see how it's stepping down just like a patchwork? As long as you're going that way, you're fine. You could use 4 sheets and you could have a step of 4 going down. Need to cut one off the bottom here, nearly forgot. Last one. Don't need much glue, and this is again on copy paper. Don't use, like I say, don't do this onto card. It's a waste of card, adds weight, and then when we come to die cut it, it's going to be your die cutting machine is going to have too much of a difficulty because it'll be going through 3 pieces of card. You don't want to do that. You want to go through the paper and then 2 other pieces of paper. So there's my background all done, and I'm going to die cut this. But before I die cut it, I thought to be different, because if you look at this one here, there's nothing going on in the background. I love it, it's absolutely fantastic, but I thought it might be nice to change it up a little bit. So we're going to grab my Morning Mist Versifying Clay, and I'm grabbing the Urban Style stamp from the kit because I really wanted to use this. And we're just going to add a bit of stamping with this. So I'm going to start down here near the bottom. And because you've got lines on your background, you can actually stamp it pretty straight. I'm just going to step up a little bit. And then I would go probably up here again. And then keep on stamping and adding some more in. Okay, and then I would cut the largest but one of the rounded corner rectangles from it, which I've already done, and I can show you. So this is where I'm at. See, the papers are slightly different. It's exactly from the same sheet, but because of the design of the paper, some parts have got pattern and some haven't. But then we've got all my stamping going on, and I've also edged with the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide, and then I've cut the largest rounded corner rectangle out of Elegant Ebony card, and then there's a piece of almond hue on the back. So that's all my back already, my background. Now we go on to our chappy. This is my Trendsetter young man, and I've popped him into the Stamp Perfect stamp press, and I've got a piece of Bockingford card on the back here. Now this, and if you see the almond hue, are almost identical, and they're not right next to each other, and of course we're going to colour on the Bockingford, so it doesn't matter if there's a slight difference, but it's better than using white if you're using the Bockingford. So I'm going to stamp him in the Nocturne Versifying Clay, which is the black one. And I like it. He's a big stamp. Obviously you can use the acrylic blocks, and there is a set of 3 of Phil's acrylic blocks on the show. But obviously the beauty of using the Stamp Perfect is that you can go in, if you've not stamped it particularly well, and fill in any lines. You know, if you want it really, really black, you can do a second inking. I'll give him a good old press. Make sure that I've covered all of it. Take your time. Let the ink sink into the card. There he is. He's perfect. Perfect young man. And he can't answer back because he's on a piece of card. Okay, so we'll put him to one side. And I'm going to pull in one that is already dry, and this one actually has been stamped with Twilight, I think, which is a very, very dark blue. You can barely tell the difference. I'm going to do just a tiny bit of colouring, because obviously colouring takes time, and it's nice to show you a little bit, but obviously we're not going to spend 20 minutes watching me colour in. So I thought I watched Lou do this the other day, and I thought it was a really cool technique. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to do this trouser leg here, and I'm going to with my water brush, I'm just adding water to his leg. Oh, a bit too much water there, so we'll just drag that down. And I'm only going up to the line. It's as if I'm colouring with water. And we just do his cuff there as well a little bit. Okay. Then I'm going to grab my blending mat. And you can see that here that I've got lots of colours on here, and at the moment I'm tending to leave it uncleaned because I can put more colour on top and I'm not wasting the colour below. And as you get to know your pens, you'll actually get to understand which colours are which. So this is the, it's almost like a blue-grey. It's a beautiful colour, this one. So it goes on grey. But when we paint it, it's like a very dark denim blue. So I'm just going to pick some of that up onto my brush, and then I'm going to just drop it into where I put the water, and it will find its own spot to go, which I thought was really clever. I've never seen this before. So I thought, oh, I'll have a bit of that. Thanks, Lou. Again, it's very therapeutic. You can always go and add a little bit more once it's dry. You don't want to put, you don't want to, cover the whole of him with water first, because by the time you've done all of it, then some of it will be drying, and you do need it to be fairly fluid when you're doing this. But there's no kind of, I like the fact that there's no skill involved in this, and it's my sort of colour in this. And when it dries, it'll settle in. So it's, like I say, a very dark denim blue. But don't ever put your pen in this. Always go from your mat, because you damage your pens if you do this. The pens will draw the water up. So don't do that. That's a definite no-no. Don't forget that the set 2 of the pens that's on the show, totally different colours to set 1, and set 3 and 4 will be out later this year, and they'll have different colours in them as well. Don't like that way that's sitting there. I think that's the way my card's bowing. But, so leave that to dry, and then in good old Hochanda fashion, I've got one that's already dry and cut out. So I've done him in exactly the same way, and obviously added more colours in as well. Okay, you see him? I don't want to put him down because he's got foam pads on the back. So I'm going to put him to one side because we know we've got him. Then we're going to do a little bit more work on a background piece. So I've got a piece of almond hue card here. And I'm going to take some fossilised amber distress oxide, and this is the woolly knit background, which is a new one today, or new one for the one day special. And I've just marked on my acrylic block some little marks with a permanent pen to try and indicate to me where the rubber ends, because I'm going to extend this lengthways. Don't worry, it'll wash off eventually, and it's an acrylic block, so you don't need to stress about that too much. So I'm just going to rub the fossilised amber over here. Now, my original one, I'd used tea dye, and I think it's a little bit too brown, but the guy that I coloured in had brown on his clothes, so I've got away with that. So just experiment with your colours, but this is a closer colour to the honey that's in the paper pack. So I'm just going to mist this with water. Might put a bit too much down there, and I've got to turn it sideways because this is how I like to stamp. and then into the card. Now this could be Bockingford, but it isn't. It's the almond hue. And there's our background. I'm not too worried about the fact there's too much water on there. It's fine. It's the background. Don't stress about that. Now I want to stamp again because I need a longer length. But don't take your ink pad to a wet stamp. Again, you don't want to put water into your ink pad. And I only really need the top. Again, mix that with water. See if I've done too much on this one. Now, see if I can get over the camera to do this. It might not be perfect, but I'm not stressing because I'll show you how to fix it. About there. Oh, that's the best one I've done. That never happens, does it? I've never done that. That's perfect. Right, very happy with that. I should definitely have to use that on something else. Right, so you leave that to dry. And then I've got one here that I've trimmed down. It's not long enough because I've got another one that is long enough, but I want to do slightly different layout. So I've trimmed it down, and that's, you can see there that I didn't join that properly, but it's fine because we're going to be able to cover that up, so you don't need to stress at all. And I've edged it with the hickory smoke. I'm going to mat it onto some black card. But I want to use one of the sentiments that's in the set here. So we're going to go back to the VersaFine Clair again. And we're going to stamp the word Trendsetter. Just about, let's see, sorry, I've just knocked the camera. Oh, it's moving. There. If it's not straight, it's because I'm at an awkward angle. There we go. That's so cool, isn't it? The fonts on this is just tremendous. Okay, so we've got that, and we also want to stamp another word from the set. There's lots of words on this particular card, and we're going to stamp the word dude into a double debossed rectangle that I've edged with the hickory smoke. That's going to go here. There we go. Another cool font. Right, so those are now going to be a bit wet, so I might, yeah, we'll manage. Right, let's come to our card. Now, on my original layout, I would have had this here like that. So, and then I'd bring my chappy in, and he would go here, like that. And then we'd have, see where that line is there? So we could put the bottom of our rectangle there, and he would go there. Let's see if I can get that straightish, like that. So that's a cool card. That works. But I like to mix up my layouts a little bit and show you an alternative. So we're not going to do that. We're going to glue down our other border and our sentiment, and we're going to construct it a slightly different way. Hope I don't smudge my words. Remember, VersaFine Clair stays open for a little while. If you were doing it in the order that I'm doing it now, you could add just a little bit of clear embossing powder over the top, and then you'd be sorted. Or of course you can just blast it with a heat tool. But I realise it's very noisy when we're heat embossing in our current situation, so I'm not doing that. That's going there. See if that's straight. Yep. Okay. So I thought we might do it so that my border's down here. That's going up there. And my chappy's coming in here, like that. That's how I thought we'd do this one. And you can see I'm going to be covering that up. So we're going to stick that. So like I say, don't stress when you're extending the backgrounds, because the background stamps are all A6. So if you want, and they're rubber, so you can't see necessarily where you're going with them. So don't stress if you make a mess. That's absolutely fine, because there's always a way to cover it up, always. So he's got foam pads on his back. His leg is going to cover up that join there. So he's there. And then just fetch my foam off the back of here. And then that's going just there, like that. Happy with that? Pull it down so you can see properly. There you go.